rassemblés, pas dit pas mêlés. Oh, Haïtiens rassemblés, conseillés. Pour ça pas bon, pour ça pas bien passé. C'est tout capté.
Honorable Rodneyse Bichotte.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure. And d'ailleurs, tout le monde pour comprendre, ça sont histoire nous cap faire. N'a demandé tout le monde pour mettre les mains ensemble, mettre tête ensemble, pour y voter pour petite communauté. Changer, mais son monde qui cap comprendre langue, cap marcher, cap manger. Mais son monde qui cap représenter comme voix communautaire. M'a dit pour bonne chance. Puis pour voter 13 septembre, ça sont jeudi. 13 septembre, jeudi.
Vous entendez ça bien? Et pas oublier que moi-même personnellement, if I don't make the right decision tonight, history will judge me for making the wrong choice. My conscience tonight, I have to endorse this bright young lady here, Haitian-American. And I see in her not just with a state assembly person, she could become a senator, a vice president, even a president. And I endorse, you got my endorsement.
Thank you
and
so
I'm
much.
asking, I'm urging the entire community to do the same. See you in 2 weeks.
One more thing.
Right.
Josue Pierre.
Josue Pierre, please. Endorse Josue Pierre, votez pour lui tout.
Yeah, vote for Josue Pierre.
Josue Pierre.
Please.
Oh, Haïtiens rassemblés, conseillés. Pour ça pas bon, pour ça pas bien passé. C'est tout capté.
Good evening. You are watching The World on Democracy. This show is on every other Saturday on Channel 34. Cablecast live from the facilities of Manhattan Neighborhood Network in Manhattan. I am your host, Smith Georges. This Saturday, the 25th of August 2012, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I want to, for me to introduire nous à une communauté qui a fait un travail exceptionnel. Les chiffres à côté de là depuis mon vrai choix. Eh bien, c'est le Honorable Rodneyse Bichotte qui est actuellement District Leader au sein du State Committee Women côté le district côté que l'IA. Nous connaissons que il y a un State Committee male also, right? That's correct?
Yes,
State
that's correct.
Committee female. So là, lui-même la prendre qu'on y a là pour
State Assembly, New York State Assembly.
Stay with us. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The World on Democracy. I'm right now in South Africa. So wait.
The award-winning TV show every other Saturday on Channel 34, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Live
From New York with your host.
Haitian artist activist Smith George.
Good evening, as you know, the Sir Smith George.
I'm very honored to receive this award this evening. The World on Democracy.
I'm introducing right now the Honorable Rodneyse Bichotte. She's currently a district leader, a state committee woman, and she's running for
State Assembly, New York State Assembly.
in the 42nd district in Brooklyn. And I think I've got you. Je dis bien, moi-même personnellement, il faut avoir courage pour faire ça bien, surtout dans un moment historique comme ça. Le council member Mathieu Eugène t'a run, je ne connais non, je travaille pour lui, je fais campagne pour lui, je suis excited d'avoir une first Haitian-American dans New York City Council. Je vais le monter, faire campagne pour lui, ok, il vient bon. Bien, historiquement parlant, je fais une décision que cœur conscience moi, t'es en repos. Right now, I have to do the same thing. Nous avons une jeune dame qui bright, qui est, monsieur vient en pile, il n'y a pas connaît, monsieur ça va faire. Et qui est très intelligent, très bright, il entre dans la communauté, réellement, le premier monde qui connaît, il vient arriver district leader. Il vient le passer. Kounia là, il fait travailler honorably, très bien. Kounya la, li gon ambition, li gen un drive qui est exceptionnel que moi dans le monde qui est la politique, que nous besoin plus Haitian-American kounya la, nous en quantité pour nous gagner yo. Nous pas capable bon, nous pas faire dire ah moun ça yo réellement yo pas connaît ça yo capable faire yo pas connaît force yo. Faut montrer que nous force nous. Nous comprenons que dans le district là gagne l'autre monde tout. C'est pas Haitian-American seulement gagne. Kounya la pour nos district qui 82% minorité, 68% black, noir. Qui est-ce qui actuellement assemblée et ou maintenant sont monde qui descendant juif. OK. Nous pas gagner préjugé ne pas gagner comme ça. Mais cependant, là yo fait redistricting, là yo for district de façon pour capable permettre et di majorité district à refléter l'Albanie ou bien la City Council là quelque part côté que politiciens après les venir candidat. Mais actuellement nous est que monde ça là depuis près de 34 ans, il est pour retire, il pas pour retire. M'apprécier lui, me respecter lui parce que vous faites 34 ans l'opposition, faut pas bien pour arriver là. Mais au moment arriver tout, faut pas yo fait yo l'autre gens. Mais kounya la gen devant nous Rodneyse Bichotte. La prendre pour qui l'élection?
13 septembre.
La 13 septembre élection. Avant moi faire demande, moi urge nous demander nous pour nous ça pour faire pour lui. M'ba ba chance, I'm going to give her a chance to speak. M'a vinn sous nous avec ça. Let me say this in English right now. And now it's more than a pleasure to present to you Rodneyse Bichotte. She's currently a district leader. That's a 42nd district, right?
Correct. That's
the 42nd district. And now she's running for
State Assembly. New York State Assembly.
42nd district as well in Brooklyn. And what I can say about her, and there is so much to say about her accomplishments, but I'm going to tell you a few about what she has done. Okay, Rodneyse Bichotte, and she is, as you said, an exceptional person, and she has an amazing and impressive background. Just to name a few, she obtained an undergraduate degree at Buffalo State College at SUNY at Buffalo in mathematics and electrical engineering. A Master's of Science in Electrical Engineering, that's right, at Illinois Institute of Technology. MBA in Finance and Marketing at the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University.
Correct.
As a professional, and she spent time in Chicago, Japan, China for several years before she came back to the United States to work on Wall Street as a corporate and investment bankers. I can go on, and the list is very long. And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Honorable Rodneyse Bichotte. Welcome to the World on Democracy.
Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure, and I know I promised you, maybe it's more than a year ago, I saw you at a meeting, and I said, Rodneyse, I would like you to come on my show, and I think we're doing it at the right time. Rodneyse, this is what I'm so interested about knowing, like, give you a chance to. I know you as a politician. I've observed you, I've seen your work, and I receive your email regularly. Thank you so much. I appreciate getting your email.
Thank you for sharing your emails as well.
Yeah, sure. And what is it that you would like people to know about you? I mean, Rodneyse Bichotte as a person, how would you describe yourself? The drive that you have, for politics, the ambition for politics.
Well, I think overall I'm just a naturally ambitious person, but I would describe myself as a regular person. I'm a child of the community. I'm born and raised in the district that I'm running in the East Flatbush, from Haitian parents. I went to the public schools like every other kid in the neighborhood, and I had the opportunity to have different majors and travel all over the world and had options in my career. My passion for politics didn't start until 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that was due to the tremblement de terre, the Haiti earthquake. And it was also due to realizing that our community was pretty much at the same place 20 years ago. As you know, or you may know, if you heard my story before, when I was 10 years old, I got hit by a car. Right. So I got hit by a car because there wasn't a traffic light. And so just going through that whole process, I come back, I realize that there's no traffic light. And the reason why there was still no traffic light after 20 years is because there were a lack of
That
advocacy.
happened where, in Brooklyn?
Yeah, my mom's house in my district.
Okay.
Right, on Farragut Road. So, you know, this was an experience that I went through where I was homeschooled for 8 months, bedridden. My mom was a single parent, taking care of her kids, hardly could speak English, and really didn't know her rights as an individual, as a citizen of the community. I didn't have access to physical therapy. We didn't have good representation on legal sense. So these are a lot of the things that a lot of the constituents, a lot of the Haitian people go through. And so when I came back and noticed that there weren't any traffic light, I did reach out to my elected officials, and as a result, 8 months later, a traffic light. And so what that told me was, it doesn't take much to get the job done. There is a lack of efficiency and effective leadership. And so it was an opportunity for me to take this, opportunity to run for the district leader position. And you're right. Many people felt that, I wasn't going to win. Like, who am I? I'm just this Haitian girl with some type of ambition. But the district leader position, after winning the race, and after being in it for the last 2 years, it really gave me a sense of how a lot of things work and how a lot of things are not being done. And we can do so much more. And so I decided to leave corporate America and to run for the position to serve the people of the 42nd Assembly. And this position, actually, the Assembly position is the New York State position. So it will be a state level position.
Okay, great. So how many people does the district comprise of? How many?
The breakdown is about 130,000. Okay, of the 130,000, about 85% are minority. Okay, and of that, about a large majority of that, like 65-75% is black people, and then of that, Haitians are the largest ethnic group in the district. Right.
So now I know I have to say it, because you are young, ambitious, and some well-established politicians may have seen you as a threat, and I have to say it. I gotta hide that. So how do you react to that? What would you tell them, these folks?
I said, if you're doing your job, you have nothing to worry about. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, Flatbush region is a region that's been ignored for a very long time. And so you had elected officials who's been there for a while, who just taken the community for granted, taken the people who live there for granted. And that was that. It was status quo. Complacency. When I came in, I'm like, you know what? There's a generation of people who their fathers and mothers work so hard for so that they can get a better education, better skill sets, and to know their rights and so forth, and competency, who can actually come in and do a good job. So for me, when newcomers are coming in, people are typically threatened. I think the fact that they see that I am result-oriented. As a district leader, I had no staff, I had no office, no funds.
No budget?
No budget, no nothing. But, my team and I were able to produce, and that's the whole thing. If I can produce, if we all can produce with nothing, with no money, then imagine what we can do if we have a budget and office and the chance to sit at the table writing legislation.
But you have some, I would say, power, even though, to do certain things as a district leader.
Oh yeah, the power that I have is I hire the poll workers. So the people who work behind the Board of Election, in the Board of Election, I hire them on the day of voting. I also nominate the Supreme Court Justice. So so there are a number of civil court judges or people in general who are interested in getting promoted to the Supreme Court. We would interview them. And then lastly, what most or many district leaders haven't done in a long time is doing the work of the community. So I've done a number of community forums on civic engagement, voting, knowing your rights. I've done things with the district attorney, Charles Hines, with the people who went to prison and came back. I've worked with a lot of the labor organizations on, different initiatives, whether it's rallying against unfair practices by the landlords, or working on a project with Haiti that's 1199. So I've done a number of things, and that's what district leaders should do. They are the people who are on the ground, who are representing the voice of the people, as well as being the mediator between the elected officials when they're very busy and the constituents.
Okay. There is something. Is it still standing that you were chosen to be a delegate at President Obama's convention, at the Democratic convention, I should say?
Yes. I was nominated by Congresswoman Yvette Clarke.
Yvette Clarke.
And I was selected by Obama through her nomination to go. So yes, I will be representing. I'm the only Haitian in New York City who's a Obama delegate, and I'll be going to the Democratic National Convention representing the community.
So you met President Obama, then he was a senator.
Correct.
What can you tell me about that?
Well, when I was in Chicago, I did spend some time in Chicago. I had the opportunity to join the Democratic Club over there in Chicago and join Obama's campaign when he was a senator. It was a great experience because it was the first exposure to knocking on doors, phone banking, really the retail stuff that a lot of people don't know or get a chance to do. My relationship with Obama, President Obama, was up close and personal. I was invited to a number of his birthday parties.
That's terrific.
I would get cards from him, so it's great. So I had a phenomenal experience, and he's a great guy.
Assembly woman, is that, I would say, a higher position than council member?
Yes, it is. So I'm running for, you say district, it's actually New York State Assembly.
New York State Assembly.
So I'm running for a New York State Assembly. It is a higher position than the City Council because I would be part of a group of people who are overseeing a budget, a larger budget for the state of New York. Right. Over $150 billion. So we make legislation that covers all of the state of New York. So it is, and if I do win, which we are expecting to, I will be the first Haitian as the state assembly.
So you are poised to make history like Councilmember Matthew Eugene did.
Exactly.
So I would say 5 years ago. Okay, now
and it's sad that we don't have one Haitian at all at the assembly.
That's so true.
Where we have a district that's larger. We have actually three districts that's largely Haitian, and it's just unfortunate that we have no one on the state level representing us.
Right.
So we hope to make that change.
But we've been speaking English all along here.
Oh, okay.
Est-ce que vous parlez créole?
Oui, je parle créole un petit peu.
Un petit peu?
Oui, je parle créole.
Vous parlez créole bien, vous parlez créole bien, c'est vrai. Et bon, si vous avez dit, par exemple, vous avez regardé là, Haïtien, Haitian-American, vous avez regardé, qui sont dit en créole?
Non, je t'ai dit comme ça, c'est la première fois nous allons gagner un Haïtien, si nous gagnons dans la State Assembly. Nous avons un district qui est plus fort Haïtien, mais pour qui ça nous pas gagné aucune représentation. Vous comprenez? Ça sont des qui fait mal en pile. Toute la communauté, depuis c'est juif, depuis c'est italien, depuis c'est dominicain, ils rassemblés et puis ils ont un monde qui représente. Mais dans le district ça qui est plus fort Haïtien, un pile Haïtien. Dans tête yo senti qu'on c'est beaucoup il manque un bagage exactement.
Je suppose qu'il y a monde qui représente yo, d'accord parce que si il y a 82% et monde c'est minorité près de 68 à 70% c'est noir et puis en pile là monde ça c'est haïtien.
Oui, exactement.
Bon pour ça nous pas gagner un monde qui peut représenter non. La dernière. Bon, à part de ça, moi connais que et c'est très important pour me souligner ça. Opponent c'est Rhoda Jacobs.
Oui.
Rhoda Jacobs. Et qui ça what can you do better? Okay, your opponent is Rhoda Jacobs, right?
Yes.
And assembly, she's currently assembly woman there. Assembly, it's a state assembly person for the second district.
Right.
So now she's been around for 34 years, I believe.
Correct.
And you are new. People say, well, you don't have experience. What will you do better than current state assemblywoman Rhoda Jacobs?
Well, I disagree. I do have a lot of experience. I ran for office for the first time and won. And I have a lot of experience, community experience. I have corporate experience that can contribute. I think a lot of our elected officials are lacking in competency when it comes to certain things that they can negotiate. But what would I do better than Rhoda Jacobs? Well, for one, let me just put it out there that I understand that she's done a lot for the community in the beginning of her years. But what happens with elected officials that's been for a while, they take their work that they've produced or their work that they've accomplished, and they've taken the people for granted. You know, so yeah, for the first 20 years, done great work, and then after that, you know what happens? You can relax. So right now, our community is at a crisis. We need people who's going to be very active in Albany. We're at a crisis where our unemployment rate is very, very high. It's actually higher than the national rate, is at 13.6%. Our Assembly woman is currently receiving her pension and a full paid salary. So that's two paychecks for one job, a part-time job. You know, and again,
You say it's a part-time job?
Yeah, well, it's considered a part-time job because you have session half of the year. So, you know, receiving two paychecks on the backs of taxpayers is a concern to many people, especially when your district has one of the highest unemployment rate. So that's an issue. So, you know, I'm energetic. Again, I've have experience through, you know, nonprofit, through the district leader, as a public school math teacher, engineer, and banker. I really have a sense of the people of all walks. And I think that's what the district needs. Well, for me, it was different because community service was always with me, you know, since college. And so the transition was smooth because it was always there. Working with the community was always there. It was nonstop, even when I was working in corporate America and working, you know, on Wall Street. So there really wasn't a transition. It was just there. So when I decided to leave corporate America, I just decided to dedicate it 100% of my time with the community on initiatives and work. I currently sit on the board of Habitat for Humanity, where I serve as the advocacy chair. And I had the opportunity last year to go to Leogan, Haiti, where we with President Jimmy Carter, where we built 100 homes in 1 week.
So that was after the earthquake.
That was after the earthquake, exactly. So, you know, these are some of the things that I've been doing for over 20 years, you know, community work.
Terrific. Now, I get other questions to you. Are you Christian? You're Christian now? What's your faith, your religious faith?
Yes, I go to church.
You go to church? You married? You want to get phone calls
No, I'm
that
not
you don't want to
married.
get. I was reading your biography once and I realized that you practice martial arts. So it's karate, kung fu, judo. What is it that you...
I did taekwondo.
Taekwondo. That reminds me of somebody.
You?
Councilmember Matthew Eugene. Maybe you guys are going to be in the rings. I'm only kidding. Politically.
We don't want that. We don't want that politically either.
No. Eugene. Maybe you guys are going to be in the rings. I'm only kidding. Politically.
We don't want that. We don't want that politically either.
Oh, Haïtien rassemblé pour conseiller. Pour ça pas bon, pour ça pas bien passé. C'est tout qu'à
Rodneyse Bichotte, there's a question I had to ask you. Now, you know, you cannot be on the show and not asking me this question. Then I wouldn't be doing my job. There's an article that I read on several news outlets, Carib News, as well as Haitian Times. And I read it on the internet about Zachary Laresh, who forged signatures, and then he was kicked out of the ballot. Now he's no longer a candidate. So it's just you and Rhoda Jacobs that are left now. And I understand that you took the initiative and Josue Pierre to make that happen.
Yes.
So you stand for integrity, that's what people say. At the same time, you'll find a few people who say, well, she's a little bit too harsh with Zachary Laresh. What can you say about that?
Well, for one, let me just clarify. We did start fraud allegations with the courts with Zachary, and so we were prepared to challenge him in the court in front of the Supreme Court Justice. Right before we were about to proceed, his lawyer decided to withdraw. We had all the evidence in the world. We had a signature witness from the forensic
Oh, his
side.
lawyer decided to withdraw?
Yes, because we had
Before
everything.
you even challenged him? Because you presented
Right, we presented all the
evidence.
facts in front of him.
It
right.
was so clear that
It was so clear, and I guess it would have looked even worse for Zachary.
had he stayed there.
Had he stayed,
Right.
right. So, so then, yeah, the media say he gets knocked off.
Right.
But technically, he withdrew.
Okay.
All the evidence was there.
So do you guys talk or no?
We haven't spoken. You know, I do hear some people, they were cheering me on because for a very long time, I guess there's a lot of what's called magouille in the community.
Yeah.
And again, if you don't have the integrity to do things right, don't do it at all. You are representing a community we've been taking for granted for so long, and we need people who's going to represent us fairly, correctly, and with integrity. Same thing with Rhoda Jacobs.
Rhoda Jacobs, what's
Yeah.
the situation?
Well-
Are you going to challenge her the same way
Well,
for signatures?
we already challenged her. She
Yeah.
was taken to the appellate division. So we
So-
took her to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be, the article will come out.
Right.
It's in several articles right
What's
now.
what the outcome?
The outcome is that the judges, unfortunately, was in her favor. And as you can see, I mean, I respect the judges' answers or decision, but it's a shame that they didn't follow their own case law. Because in previous case laws, it shows that if someone is not putting their petitions correctly, they have names of people without consent, the whole petition should be thrown off in its permeation of fraud.
Okay.
What happened? They left her on. It was politics. So right now it's Rhoda Jacobs and myself. And you know, it's an issue because Rhoda Jacobs has been in office for 34 years and apparently she doesn't have her stuff together.
Right.
So that's a problem if you're going to be in Albany as a legislator and not having the competent to follow regulations and bylaws. So that's an issue for me.
Okay.
So right now, we, you know, as a representative of the community, we want to stop all that. And so right now it's just the two of us, and that's that. But we welcome everyone we're on everybody's camp to come on our camp and to make this a historical event.
So I think you stand all the chances in the world. This is a paper I have here, Our Time Press.
Yes.
And it says Rodneyse Bichotte gaining ground in bid to unseat 42nd Assembly District incumbent of 34 years, referring to Rhoda Jacobs.
Correct.
As you can see the paper here. And which politicians have endorsed you so far?
So far, Kevin Parker.
Kevin Parker.
Senator Kevin Parker.
All right. So let's say Congress member Yvette Clarke hasn't yet come on board.
She hasn't yet come on board.
And Council member Matthew Eugene.
He hasn't yet come on board.
Yet on board. Okay. And now I know people who are watching right now, particularly among Haitian-American, Haitian. Nous connaissons que campagne pas faite sans fonds, sans aide, pour nous contribuer. Parce que nous pas dire n'a fait histoire en bouche non. Moi-même, m'a demandé nous-mêmes carrément, c'est pour nous contribuer. Je vais mettre l'adresse sur l'écran, côté que nous-mêmes nous capables contribuer dans la campagne Rodneyse Bichotte. Et ça met moi mettre sur l'écran pour nous deux informations. Une là donné, c'est si que nous voyez chèque la police, ça vous chèque là. Et puis l'information de quoi venir tout sur adresse, si nous arrivons passer dans headquarter là et comment que nous capable là. Tout ça c'est très important. Nous-mêmes ça m'a demandé nous pour faire tout. C'est pour bon, ça c'est campagne là, moi le sur écran pour nous. C'est pour nous relais 10 monde, chaque monde relais 10 monde, 10 monde ça relais 10 monde encore, 10 monde encore, 10 monde, n'a multiplier bagaille là. Parce que c'est comme ça pour nous faire, faut nous balle mais ça c'est office là, nous capable sur écran, c'est 1396 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11210. Nous connaissons que le show après le fini tout à l'heure. On n'a pas obligé de faire fit là pour nous donner tout ça. Et puis après, je vais vous pile d'informations qu'on y a là. Ça a besoin de Rodneyse Bichotte. Les sous-écrans que vous mettez Rodneyse Bichotte, actuellement c'est District Leader. Et où est que website c'est rodneysebichotte.com. Et pour email adresse, c'est info@rodneysebichotte.com. Téléphone, c'est 347 699 3503. Si que nous voyons comme là, nous fait sous Bichotte for Assembly.
Oui.
C'est pour faire chaque là. Et nous voyons dans PO Box 340 604, Brooklyn, New York, 11234. Mais nous avons fait contribution sur Internet là tout.
Oui.
Là, rodneysebichotte.com. You have the last word, Honorable Rodneyse Bichotte.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure. And d'ailleurs, tout le monde pour comprendre, ça sont histoire nous cap faire. N'a demandé tout le monde pour mettre les mains ensemble, mettre tête ensemble, pour y voter pour petite communauté. Changer, mais son monde qui cap comprendre langue, cap marcher, cap manger. Mais son monde qui cap représenter comme voix communautaire. M'a dit pour bonne chance. Puis pour voter 13 septembre, ça sont jeudi. 13 septembre, jeudi.
Vous entendez ça bien? Et pas oublier que moi-même personnellement, if I don't make the right decision tonight, history will judge me for making the wrong choice. My conscience tonight, I have to endorse this bright young lady here, Haitian-American. And I see in her not just with a state assembly person, she could become a senator, a vice president, even a president. And I endorse, you got my endorsement.
Thank you
and
so
I'm
much.
asking, I'm urging the entire community to do the same. I love you. Take care. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
One more thing.
Right.
Josue Pierre.
Josue Pierre, please. Endorsez Josue Pierre, votez pour lui tout.
Vote for Josue Pierre.
Josue Pierre.
Please.
Thank you so much. And Rodneyse, thank you for coming. And I love you. Everybody, see you in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, Haïtien rassemblé pour concerner. Pour ça pas bon, pour ça pas bien passé. C'est tout capouillé. Oh, Haïtien rassemblé pour concerner. Pour ça pas bon, pour ça pas bien passé. C'est tout